Am I wrong for telling my dad's wife that I own the house she lives in? My 29 female dad married a woman named Maria a year ago after dating for 4 years. My dad wanted to buy a larger house for them to live in but couldn't afford it without selling the home he lived in at the time, which is a unique property that he dearly loves. Although I now live abroad, I like the area he lives in, and my husband offered to buy a house there that my dad and Maria could live in. My dad agreed to this on the provision that we not tell Maria that it wasn't him who paid for the house. This made no difference to me, so I agreed, and the house they live in is in my name and they live there. I never planned to tell her. Recently, I went back to my home country and decided to stay with my dad for half my time there. The whole time, Maria made it clear I was an inconvenience and that me doing things with my dad was annoying to her, but I'm not a confrontational person and I don't react much, so I let it go. However, 2 days before I was due to leave, she came into my room and saw that I had my dad's dog on the bed. Now, this is a dog that my dad has had since before he met Maria and that I raised. Maria doesn't allow him on her bed, which is fine, but I've always had him sleep on mine. She flipped out saying that this was the final straw and that she'd had enough of me disrespecting her in her own home and I had to leave. I tried to de-escalate the situation, saying we should just wait for my dad and sit down and talk this out, but she was adamant that I had to leave and that she had the authority to make me. After several minutes of me trying to explain to her that it was absurd for her to try and kick me out of my dad's house without talking to him, she said that what she said went, and since she married my dad, this is technically her house. I just chuckled and said, since my name is on the deed, it's technically my house, but there's no need to get technical and we should just wait for my dad. She was shocked and left the room. When my dad came back, I told him what happened and he went to speak to her. There was a shouting match and she didn't speak to either of us until I left 2 days later. My dad is mad I told her, which I get, but since then, I've also got texts from her kids saying that I was the asshole for telling her and making her feel like a guest in the house. This isn't the case. She isn't a guest, she's a tenant, but so is my dad. And the only point I was trying to make was that she didn't have a business trying to kick me out of my father's house, let alone my own property. I didn't take it there until she did. That said, maybe I should have just left the ownership out and let my dad handle it. For everyone talking about Maria being a tenant and tenants' rights, she doesn't pay rent, so I don't know if that makes her a tenant technically. If it does, then as a landlord, I'm pretty sure I have legal recourse over the remodeling she did without notifying me over my approval. And anyways, I wasn't there as a landlord. I was there as a guest of another tenant, and actually she did have several weeks notice I was coming in any case. I'm sure it's a legal rabbit hole, but the only reason I use the word tenant is to say that since she lives there, she isn't a guest in the home. Am I wrong for backing out of paying for my sister's wedding dress over a joke she made? I had an incident on my wedding day back in 2017 where my former fiance abandoned me and ran away with his pregnant mistress. That image, those details are forever engraved on my mind and I'll never forget how I felt that day. That was truly a turning point in my life. My family has always been there for me, so I kept close to them. My younger sister is currently engaged and her wedding will be in a few months. She's struggling with money, so I decided to help her and her fiance and pay for the wedding dress. This allowed her to be able to buy her dream wedding gown that cost $7,000. It's a lot for a dress, but she literally cried because she wanted it. This happened a few days before we agreed to go buy the dress. We were eating dinner at my parents' house and my cousin and aunt were there. My aunt was asking my sister about the wedding and my sister said that everything was going according to plan and then casually laughed and said, "Let's just hope he won't run away with a pregnant mistress or something on our wedding day." I was blown away completely. She laughed and my aunt laughed too as if this was a joke. She was basically mocking what happened with me on my wedding. It happened so fast. I got up and started screaming at her, calling her an idiot, but my parents asked me to take it easy and said she thought it was a joke and didn't think I'd react so intensely. My aunt remained seated and my cousin asked me to calm down and drink some water, but I grabbed my stuff and I was getting ready to leave. I told my sister she was getting $0 for her dream wedding dress, then I walked out. I heard louder commotion as I walked away and my dad and cousin followed me outside trying to talk, but I asked to be left alone. My dad and I spoke and he said I was too harsh on my sister over a joke and said that I know this is how she is with her dark sense of humor. They said she's been crying after I decided to back out of helping her and said this would ruin her wedding. They want me to reconsider my decision since it might damage my relationship with my sister, but I refused. Did I overreact? See, it speaks volume that she's crying over potentially not having her dream wedding dress, but I would be crying over hurting my sister that much. Just putting that out there.
Am I the asshole for pranking my girlfriend on my buddy's birthday? Now, I, 26 male, have been friends with the same group of guys since we were kids. We are all extremely close with one another. One of the things you need to know about us is that we are all bonded by a shared sense of humor. We are huge fans of doing pranks on one another, and we have our own games and inside jokes. The best way to describe us is we're like this friend group in the movie Tag, parentheses 2018. Now, recently, one of my buddies, let's call him Jackson, 28 male, got into a car accident. He's partly recovered, but he's still taking some rest and he's been kind of down in the dumps. His birthday was coming up, so we wanted to cheer him up because we hate seeing our friends like that. So we got the idea of pranking my girlfriend because she's really posh and prissy, so her reaction would be great. And the prank we had in mind would knock his socks off. As kids, we used to play this game called Pizza Roulette. We'd order a large pizza, put each slice on 8 different plates, either face up or face down randomly, and then each of us would be blindfolded and have to take one of the slices and flip the plate over on another one, and then hold it up like a sandwich to eye level. If both of the bread slices were facing outwards, then congratulations, you got a calzone. Enjoy. If the bottom was sauce down, but the top was bread up, then it was kind of funny because they picked up the wet side. But if the sauce side was up, then the guy sitting next to you smashes the whole thing in your face. We used to have tons of fun, and Jackson loved the game. So Jackson's birthday comes. We blindfold my girlfriend and rig it so that she gets the pizza face up, and we do it successfully. But she gets really mad and leaves. Now, the guys are annoyed because she ruined the vibe of Jackson's party, but some of the girlfriends in the group said what we did was wrong. I thought it was funny at first, but am I the asshole?
So it's like if it becomes like, so face up is just normal style pizza, right? It's like you're like double decorating your pizza normal style.
Honestly, I'm not super invested in the semantics.
I want to know the semantics of the.
I hate pranks personally. I think we all know that by this point. If my boyfriend did this to me at what's supposed to be like a really fun party, I would absolutely go home too. My friend ordered me McDonald's, and I've never been so touched. I went to a friend's house earlier today to watch some football. We'll call him Brad. My friends do this sort of thing all the time. It's really casual, and we just chill out all day. Normally, we order food, but today, Brad made pulled pork sliders for everyone. I was diagnosed with a digestive disorder this year and have a really limited food list that's safe for me to eat, and I can't eat pork. I ate before I arrived, so this wasn't a big deal. I was just planning on skipping then. About a half hour after we got there, someone knocks on the door, delivering McDonald's. Brad answers and brings the bag straight to me and goes, "I'm sorry I didn't know you were coming, and I want you to be able to eat. This is safe, right?" McDonald's cheeseburgers are one of my safe foods, and I've mentioned it before. It seems like such a silly thing, but it's seriously touched me. A lot of the time, I feel like people don't take my digestive disorder seriously, and it was just really nice to have someone go the extra mile for you. I've never been happier to eat a cheeseburger.
Aww.
Am I wrong for kicking out my husband's aunt who criticized my bond with my cat after having a baby? Hey everyone, I found myself in need of some judgment since my family's divided, and I still think I'm not wrong. I'm a woman in my late 20s and I recently became a mother. Alongside my newfound role as a mom, I have a cherished cat whom I have always shared a deep bond with. Even after the arrival of my baby, I have made a point to continue involving my cat in our family life. We still go on little walks together around the garden, just the two of us, and I make sure to spend quality time snuggling and bonding with her. I also love how much my girl loves and cares for the baby. During a visit from my husband's family, his aunt decided to share their unsolicited opinion with me. My cat is really shy with people, so she was in my room looking through the window. When she wants my attention, she makes a particular meow. Well, my husband came and let me know she made the noise, so of course I went to go check on her. When I got back, his aunt started saying that having a baby and having a cat could be dangerous. Am I wrong for kicking my husband's aunt out of the house after she criticized my bond with my cat after having a baby? His aunt implied that I shift my focus away from my cat. She said that it was not natural and that I should just focus on my baby and that a cat is a cat. I told her to get out of my house now. She was astonished and I told her it's extremely rude to go to other people's houses and start criticizing how they live, especially when we barely have a relationship and I've only seen you 3 times, including once at the wedding. She and her sister got out and my husband told me I was right, but I was rude and could have said that in a better way. My sister-in-law, who was present, thinks I overreacted. I told my best friend and she's with me, but she also is a cat lover, so I don't know if it counts. There is a recent update, you guys, and it says, I agree with y'all, I did overreact. I'm not going to try and justify myself. I need to learn better coping skills for the situations, and that's on the top of my list. She also says that she will apologize.